My name is Sarah, and for my academics, I was the top 24 teams globally in the Young Investor Society stock pitch competition, which I did with a friend at school. And then I was also the recipient of Stokes Grant for Science Research, and I received $400 to do some research on microplastics research. And I also received Scholastic Writing Award Silver Keys and also most recently honorable mentions on both my novels and short stories and sometimes poems. And for school, I was the co-founder and co-leader of Sharing Physics and Chemistry Experiments Club, cleverly acronymed Space Club, and it promotes STEM within the entire school. And we would do like demos for like the lower school, the middle school, and like just like everyone. And then I was also the teaching assistant for a chemistry tutorial class at school where I like made up problems to help people study for tests, make sure people did their homework on time, and that kind of stuff. I was also on my school's tennis team for 4 years, and all 4 years were on varsity. And in addition to that, I have a class at school called Science Research, where we do research on how different environments affect zebrafish regeneration, which I eventually wrote a paper and I plan to publish it. And for community service, I am the recipient of the Congressional Award Gold Medal. That means I had to do like 400 hours of community service, 200 hours of like each personal development and I think physical fitness, and also some like expedition trip to make you like grow. And so for that, I did student ambassador at Penn Hospital, which is a volunteering program that you have to apply to. And then it's like really cool. You get to go to different departments at the hospital to like see what hospital work is like. And I think that was like a really like life-changing experience. And I was also an intern at Jefferson Health, and I worked in the oral and maxillofacial surgery department. And I got to actually assist in a lot of like minor surgeries, and I got to see like a lot of big surgeries in the operating room. And I was also a STEM and SAT tutor on Schoolhouse World, which is a partner nonprofit organization, like partner with Khan Academy and College Board. And I did a lot of my hours there, just like answering questions and also doing one-on-one Zoom meetings and tutoring people. And for my extracurriculars, as I mentioned before, I did microplastics research, and I actually got guidance from a leading microplastics researcher, Dr. Max Liboiron from Australia. And I am also a published author on Amazon because I wrote three novels and then they're also published. And I also wrote a bunch of short stories that I compiled into like larger chunks that I publish on Amazon. And for music, I play piano and cello and guzheng, which is a 21 string traditional Chinese instrument that I would perform at Lunar New Year in addition to piano. And lastly, I do figure skating. So we did a 5K cancer fundraiser recently, and I also do a lot of shows. In addition to that, I was the assistant coach for a lot of group lessons, so I help like a lot of young people to like get better at skating and also find joy in something that they can do all year long because the rink is indoors, so it doesn't have to be winter when you skate. For me, I had a lot of interest. I had interest in like STEM, like more specifically like chemistry and engineering. And then I also had interest in like economics and finance and also creative writing and English. So I really like was interested in a lot of like different things. And then with internships, clubs, and research, I narrowed it down to around three, which is like STEM, economics, and creative writing. And then I wanted to like narrow it down even more throughout the entire course of high school. So I joined clubs and I also talked a lot with like my chemistry teacher and my English teacher to figure out like what would be like the career paths I would have with those majors that I was studying in college. And then I joined the Penn student ambassador like at the Penn Hospital. And that really led me to have an interest in pre-med, and then I also saw applications of chemical engineering. So by then, by the beginning of my junior year, I wanted to do chemical engineering and pre-med. And then from there, I started to focus on getting internships at hospitals and also doing research on my own. But I also developed my interest in economics and writing because I know that I wanted to minor in those in college and keep doing it in life. And through that, I attended some competitions in economics and writing. And then I guess my advice for students will be just like don't restrict yourself because even when you decide to focus on a path to focus on a major that you want to major in college, you have other interests that you keep want to like explore and build because I'm still interested in like economics and writing and sometimes music, but I'm gonna major in engineering in college, and I think that's really important to have that like well-rounded like personality because it'll make your interviews a lot more interesting and it will like really show in your essays. For course selection, I mainly work with both Kyros' like SSM and my school's college counselor to do some course selection. And then I guess like a memorable story about course selection is when I really wanted to take advanced physics, which was the equivalent of like a calculus-based physics course that combined mechanics, electricity, and magnetism into 1 year. And it was a senior-only course, but I really wanted to take it in my junior year to show like I can challenge myself. There's rigor on my application. And then for a while, I really regretted it because it was like a lot of work and I was really stressed and like I really thought that my GPA was going to go down from it. But that really led me to find a way for me to prioritize and be able to like focus on managing tasks and getting them done ahead of time so I can have like time to relax and not be stressed. So in that regard, I scheduled regular meetings with teachers to like make sure that I understood all the material before I went home on the weekend to just grind all the work out. And a planner really saved me. So because like with a planner, you can see like all of the stuff in like a month or a week. So I feel like that was a really great way for me to like visualize what I have to do for the entire week. I actually started thinking about my personal statement quite early, and I started thinking about it in the beginning of my junior year, and then I started seriously working on it from March of my junior year. And then what I did a little differently from what other people said was that I actually didn't look at the prompts until I completely like was satisfied with a draft of my essay because the last prompt on the Common App is like whatever prompt you want it. So I didn't want the other prompts to limit me because at heart I am a creative writer. So that like the prompts like aspect was kind of like really limiting me, and then I didn't want that to become a factor in the essay. And then how did you decide? So after I like wrote a version that I felt comfortable sharing with colleges and I felt comfortable submitting, I just looked through all the prompts and I decided like I had like a little match and like elimination process thing going on. So I just like I printed out papers and I cut them and then I just like threw away the prompts that I felt didn't match it at all. And then I was stuck on two prompts. One prompt was like a set prompt. I forgot the exact wording for it. And then one of them was like the whatever essay you want to give us. I did end up choosing the set prompt because I felt like that really defined like my essay and I felt like that would really like showcase that what I was trying to like convey through my Common App. And then for supplemental essays, I just like wrote them according to the college, but I did make sure to research all the colleges beforehand to see what specific student they were looking for because each college looks for different like types of students. And then I guess my advice would be for the Common App is to don't look at the prompt like super closely because it will limit you if you want to think like creatively or like what Isha said, you can like open a notes app and jot things down, but I wouldn't recommend like analyzing every aspect of the prompt for the personal statement. But on the other hand, for our supplemental essays, it was really important to like follow the prompt closely and make sure that you weren't like spelling the school's name wrong or like you're copy and pasting another school's essay onto like some other school's essays because that was like a common thing at my school apparently. Like people just like copy and pasted and they forgot to change the name of the school.
Oh.
Yeah, you really don't want that. Yeah. And then I guess for essay writing in general, like too many opinions will actually make the situation worse. Like for me, I only allowed my parents, my like one best friend at school, and then my two English teachers and my college counselor edit it. And then everyone else, I was just like sharing like the topic, but I didn't like actually show them the paper because I didn't want any like too much advice because that would like confuse me and also like just make everything just worse. And also different schools, even though like some schools have the same prompt, like a lot of the Ivy Leagues have like very, very similar prompts. Just don't copy and paste because each school is looking for a different thing. And if you copy and paste, it becomes kind of really obvious to the admission officers reading. And it should be like you should not be able to like generalize a school to an extent that you can like generalize your story across all the schools because that would just make it really like bland to read and also like hard to understand about you and your personality. I guess the thing that was most helpful to me was my student success manager, Miss Heather. Shout out to her. She was super helpful throughout the entire process because whenever I had like a question or concern, she was always available and very accessible, so I could like reach out to her anytime. And I also think that the sprint programs, like I was self-studying for like a lot of APs, and then the sprint programs really saved me because like my school doesn't do AP programs, so it was really hard for me to find support on like problems that I couldn't solve or just like additional studying material. And then also like Isha said, they have a program where they edit like your supplementals and also your personal statement. And like their advice is really good for because like they don't know you, so they can really tell you if like you're not conveying enough information or there's something that you need to change about yourself. And then I also really liked Kyros's like resume generating feature because when I was crafting my resume, I was like really in a bind about like how to like structure it and like what things I should include in there. And then Kairos' tool made it really easy for me to like just put all my information in, put all my extracurriculars and awards, and then it would like generate a template that I can just like use and edit. So I feel like that was also super important because a lot of interviewers will ask you for like a resume or a CV prior to like being interviewed. As an underclassman, so I guess at the beginning or like middle of my freshman year, I already knew one of the teachers, and then in the beginning of my sophomore year, I knew both teachers. So I guess my advice would be to like similar to what Oliver said, just to spend time with them and also like be open to questions, participate in class. And if possible, it was like a really good idea for me to like have my English teacher from my freshman year edit my novels that I eventually published because that was like a great way for us to build a relationship and then to see for him to see how dedicated I was to something that I'm passionate about. And that was actually one of the key talking points in his rec letter. And then for my science teacher, I just like spent a lot of time in the science office because I'm like really interested in STEM and that's what I'm majoring in. So I feel like I should like really ask a lot of like career related questions about like what I should do outside of school to help me like explore more of that career choice. Um, I guess, and also just like don't be like the person who like ignores the teacher or just like thinks the teacher is like boring because the teacher will know and then like if you're rude, the teacher's obviously not gonna like write a good rec letter for you, so like don't do that. But other than that, if you just like listen to them attentively and then like participate in class, I think everyone will be able to like build a good relationship with their teachers. And then you'll know like what your teachers are going to be like. I mean, you'll know like when you find a teacher that's suitable to like write your rec. Yeah. If you want to explore a bunch of different things to know your interests, start early because as you get into your junior and senior year, you really want to spend like most of your time dedicated to like one or two or three things and you really don't want to like spread yourself thin because you don't have that much time and like you really need sleep because without good sleep you can't like perform well in school, which is like the number one important thing in terms of like college applications. So I would say you're in like if you're like a junior or senior, just like focus on the things that you really, really like and you feel like really passionate about and focus your time and energy there. But if you're like a freshman, a sophomore, or even in middle school, you still have some time to like just like explore your interest and see like what you really like. You don't have to like put that much effort into each thing because you're trying to see what you like. So you just like have to explore a bunch, talk to different people who have like gone through the same process to see like how they feel about it. So I feel like that's really important. I had to go through like an application process for my student ambassador for Penn Hospital. And while it wasn't like a full-on like college application with like 8 supplementals and like a personal statement, it was like a couple of like questions that really made me think about myself and like dive deep into like who I am, like really like myself. And then it was like pretty challenging because it was like the first real glimpse into college applications. And then I've also had like experience applying to like several pre-college programs that I didn't go to because I got into like the Penn thing. And those were really like a mini college application because they make you like write supplementals that are close to the word count of like 150 or 200 words, which is like what people normally write for college supplementals. So if you really want practice, you can search up or you can like apply to pre-college programs. But what's easier if you just like search up like past year's college supplementals if you really want to get that like head start on practicing writing. I got into a few Ivies and also some like other like schools like Carnegie Mellon, U Michigan, and then like a bunch of other schools. And then so I guess my main reason for choosing Penn was because that it has like it has a good engineering program and I feel like that I would be supported by the community there and then also the campus is really nice. But yeah, that's why I chose Penn.